This tutorial is how to use Google Drawings in order to create a cover page. Now here's a real basic cover page that you could use. This is a sample from a former student. I'm going to show you a couple of things. You can do some Google searches on other videos of how to use Google Drawings, things like that. But we're going to take this cover. I'm going to show you some of the features that this student did, and I will show you how to do some of those things. So first of all, you end up with a blank page here. If you'll notice, I think that there's a lot of empty space along the edges here. One way to fix that is to actually set your margins a little differently. So you go to File, Page Setup, and I'm just going to do like 0.3 all the way around. I wouldn't do that for a normal one because according to MLA format for a regular paper, you need 1-inch margins. But for this, you can change that. You could change the background color if you wanted to. Now, this is going to need to be printed in color. So, if you wanted to choose a different background color, as long as it doesn't distract from the rest of things, that would be great. Again, this is your chance to be a little bit fun with your design. I'm going to go ahead and just leave the color as white. In order to insert boxes and drawings, there are some requirements on your requirements page. You'll find it in your binder tab 5 handouts. I believe it's page 1, and it does tell you like some font sizes to use and things like that. So make sure you go through those. But you'll look here, there's pictures, and there's a certain number of pictures you have to have, and then each one needs a caption that goes with it. And again, these can be ideas that you take from your paper. So you'll have a blank cover here. You do insert and drawing. So when you do insert drawing, what's going to happen is you're going to have all these different options to create or to insert an image. You would go and find an image. You can search images here. And let's see what we come up for time. So if I wanted to insert this little clock, I could do that. Make sure that your images aren't too cartoonish and things like that. So if this is what I'd like to have, again, I can use that here. And you just push save and close. Whatever I've created will now show up. Now this is a little large. I always want to click wrap text, and that's going to let me move it around, even be able to play with it and make it have some movement. If you ever want to edit it, you can go back to it here. You can edit things throughout here, and you can even make them go sideways, which is always kind of nice, gives a little bit of interest. So whenever you want to edit, all you do is double click on it and it will reopen. So I can move this. As long as I've clicked on wrap text, it'll let me move that. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to insert a text box. So I go back to drawing, I select text box, and something that's kind of nice, you can fill this box with a color. You can do a border color if you wanted, just to make it a little nicer, and you can have it large. And then you can edit the text with words. So be very, very cautious. If you have a dark background, you do want to make sure that you select a light font. So time is crucial. So I don't want to leave all this space. So that's my caption, which your captions obviously are going to be longer because you're going to be explaining the picture and how it's connected to your paper. Then you would place that here, and you would move the size of the box. You can change the font here. You can also change the font size here. You can make this bold, italics if you needed to. And then I always suggest that you make it centered. Just looks a lot more refined. When you're done and you have the box the way you want it, you can save and close. And again, when you click on it, wrap text, you'll be able to play with it this way. And you should kind of overlap your image and your caption. You'll need to insert many of these like this. So that's kind of the foundation. Now I want to show you again this sample. Some things that, again, I would probably change when I did this. So I changed the outer edge so that I could actually move these a little bit differently. Actually, maybe I didn't change this one. So I would change the page setup to be, again, you can figure out which one you want, but I know we said 0.3 before. I'm going to use 0.5 on here just because I know it didn't work with 0.3. So I have to move these a little bit. You'll note that this was a little bit, the black gets kind of washed out. So what I did is I just clicked on it, went back to the drawing, and I made the font white instead. So you click on text color. It was like maybe a gray. I bolded it, made sure that the font size, make sure it matches to the font size that's on the requirements page, and I centered it, which wasn't before. So I centered it. You can also correct this and then it centers it from top to bottom as well. Save and close and it all goes in. So if I wrap the text, I can move this around. Okay, this one here I also changed just again because this pink was a little bold. I know it matches the picture here, so you can decide that. It was a little neon. So neon doesn't really work with our eyes, so I changed that. Again, I don't know if that color works with the picture, so you could go in and you could again change this fill color to be something maybe even a little bit that plays off of that. You can do a custom color as well. So you can come in and change these colors. Just something that might be more pinkish, but that's not as bright in the spectrum that we had. So you can decide those things, but just make sure that it's graphically appealing. So you can change those things. You do want to go through and again, do not use contractions. Make sure that you have captions next to the pictures. Again, this went off the page, so I want to fix these things, which I can do here. You don't have to do a different color for each box. You could do the same color for every single box and make it a little bit more uniform. You want to be creative with this. So if you want to go back through, I do want to note that, for instance, Supreme Court needs to be capitalized. So you want to make sure that you do those types of things. Make sure that your spelling is correct. Again, if you have a light fill, you can use black. And I would want to center this and center it on there so that it's actually laid out a little bit nicer there. Okay, so there are just some things. There's instructions about where to put your title, how to put your title. Everybody should have this in the bottom right hand corner of their paper. There's no exceptions to that. You shouldn't put your title in the center. Everybody will have it right here so that it's easy to find. So again, if you have any questions, like here's a video here on how to use Google Drawings. It is from 2013, so you always want to be careful. Sometimes Google makes changes and the tutorials don't necessarily all function the same because Google's updated things, but you can do some Google tutorials and see how to make that. You can also make this on Publisher, or if you wanted to make it on some other program, feel free to do that. Please make it as creative as possible, and enjoy and have a good time with it.